Today, we're exploring one of Hollywood's biggest changes, the advent of sound films, or talkies, and the stars of the silent era whose careers were changed forever. From iconic actors like Clara Bow and Douglas Fairbanks to early filmmakers, we'll discover who thrived, who struggled, and how this technological leap shaped the industry. Number 10. Lillian Gish. Often referred to as the First Lady of American cinema, Lillian Gish was one of the most revered actresses of the silent era. Her ethereal beauty, grace, and intense emotional depth made her a favorite of iconic silent director D.W. Griffith. Gish's roles in films such as The Birth of a Nation, 1915, and Broken Blossoms, 1919, highlighted her remarkable ability to convey complex emotions without uttering a word. With the advent of sound films, however, her career took an unexpected turn. Unlike many stars of the silent era, Gish's voice, soft and lilting, was well suited to the talkies, complementing her delicate screen persona. Despite this, she felt uncertain about Hollywood's evolving priorities, believing that sound films shifted the focus towards sensationalism rather than artistic expression, a perspective shared by other silent film purists. While she made a successful talkies debut with One Romantic Night, 1930, she increasingly turned to stage acting and character roles in later films. Although she continued to act sporadically in Hollywood, her roles were less prominent and lacked the star power she once had in the silent film industry. Number 9. Clara Bow. Known as the It Girl, Clara Bow was one of the most magnetic stars of the silent era, captivating audiences with her natural charm and defining the free-spirited flapper archetype. Her iconic role in It, 1927, cemented her as a symbol of 1920s youth culture. However, Bow faced considerable obstacles in making the transition to talkies. Bow's thick Brooklyn accent, which sounded unpolished to Hollywood executives, and her lack of formal training led to a heightened sense of self-consciousness once sound was introduced. Pressure from studio executives and changing public tastes eventually took their toll. Despite starring in several talkies, including The Wild Party, 1929, she found it difficult to adapt to the demands of sound production. After much scrutiny from both the industry and the press, she retired from acting in 1933, ending what had been an unstoppable career and leaving a lasting mark on Hollywood. Number 8. Madge Bellamy. Madge Bellamy was known for her doll-like features and expressive face, which made her perfect for the silent screen. She starred in a number of films during the 1920s, with standout roles in Lorna Doone, 1922, and The Iron Horse, 1924, securing her place in Hollywood. Her career stalled, however, when sound was introduced into the cinema. The new emphasis on vocal quality was a challenge for Bellamy, as her voice reportedly didn't translate well to the talkies. Her acting style, which relied on exaggerated expressions tailored for silent cinema, clashed with the more subtle, dialogue-driven performances required for talkies. Bellamy struggled to find her place, and after a few unsuccessful roles in talkies, she faded from the limelight. Her decline was swift, and by the 1930s, Bellamy had left Hollywood altogether, unable to replicate the success she had enjoyed during the silent era. Number 7. Conrad V. German actor Conrad V was renowned for his distinctive, often haunting screen presence. His roles in films such as The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, 1920, and The Man Who Laughs, 1928, demonstrated his versatility and ability to convey deep emotion without dialogue. But when sound arrived, Veidt faced an additional hurdle: language. Veidt's thick German accent limited his appeal in the American market. Although he continued to enjoy success in Europe, he eventually returned to Hollywood in the 1940s and moved into villainous roles, including the memorable Major Strasser in Casablanca, 1942. While the talkies didn't end his career completely, they restricted him to certain types of characters and limited his range, particularly in American cinema, where his accent and European background determined the roles he could play. Number 6. Mary Pickford. Nicknamed America's Sweetheart, Mary Pickford was one of the most beloved stars of silent film, known for her innocent, endearing screen persona. She was adored by audiences around the world, and even co-founded United Artists, establishing herself as a powerful force in Hollywood. But despite her immense fame, Pickford's transition to sound presented challenges. Pickford's voice was well suited to sound, and she won an Academy Award for her role in Coquette, 1929, her first sound film. However, she found it difficult to move away from her little girl roles, as audiences were reluctant to see her in adult roles. Pickford became increasingly disillusioned with the changing landscape of Hollywood and retired from acting in 1933 after a few more talkies. Although she remained active behind the scenes, her influence was never as great as it had been during her silent heyday. Number 5. Jobina Ralston. Jobina Ralston rose to prominence as a leading lady during the silent era, often starring opposite Harold Lloyd in hit comedies such as The Freshman, 1925. With her delicate looks and expressive acting, she became a popular choice for romantic roles. But the advent of sound presented challenges that Ralston found difficult to overcome. Her thick Southern accent, considered unsuitable for the new era of sound cinema, made it difficult for her to secure roles. This, combined with personal problems and health issues, led to her early retirement from Hollywood. Ralston's departure underscores how regional accents, which had little impact in silent films, became a significant hurdle to career longevity when sound entered the industry. Number 4. Harold Lloyd. Harold Lloyd was one of the most successful and creative comedians of the silent era, celebrated for his everyman character and daring stunts in films such as Safety Last, 1923. Lloyd's transition to sound was smoother than many, as his voice suited his comic style. However, sound films brought new pressures. His trademark physical comedy was less in demand in a landscape that now valued dialogue-heavy humor. While Lloyd starred in several talkies, such as Movie Crazy, 1932, he struggled to adapt his performance style, and his popularity began to wane. In the mid-1930s, he turned to business ventures, remaining a popular figure from the silent era, but never quite matching his former success. Number 3. Douglas Fairbanks. One of Hollywood's royalty, Douglas Fairbanks pioneered the swashbuckling action genre, thrilling audiences in films such as The Mark of Zorro, 1920, and The Thief of Baghdad, 1924, co-founding United Artists with Mary Pickford, Charlie Chaplin, and D.W. Griffith. Fairbanks was an influential force in Hollywood. However, the advent of sound films challenged his career. Known for his broad, exuberant style, Fairbanks' acting didn't translate well to sound, and his voice lacked the gravitas for his famous heroic roles. Feeling out of place in dialogue-driven films, his last major sound role, The Private Life of Don Juan, 1934, disappointed at the box office. He retired soon after, marking the end of one of the most dynamic careers in silent cinema. Number 2. Estelle Taylor. Known for her alluring beauty and dramatic roles, Estelle Taylor enjoyed success in silent films, with memorable performances in The Ten Commandments, 1923, and The Queen of Sheba, 1921. But the transition to talkies changed the course of her career. Although Taylor's distinctive voice was an asset, Hollywood's focus began to shift and her popularity waned. She took on a few talkies, but never regained the prominence she had enjoyed in the silent era. Disillusioned, Taylor left Hollywood in the mid-1930s to pursue a career outside of film, leaving behind a legacy as the screen siren of the silent era. Number 1. Cesu Hayakawa. Cesu Hayakawa was one of Hollywood's first successful Asian actors, captivating audiences with his magnetic screen presence in films such as The Cheat, 1915. But with the advent of talkies, Hayakawa faced significant challenges rooted in Hollywood's racial prejudices. Audiences were less receptive to foreign accents in the sound era, and Hayakawa found himself limited by typecasting and stereotypes. Although he continued to act in Hollywood and Japan, his roles became increasingly limited. Despite a brief career revival in The Bridge on the River Kwai, 1957, the advent of sound had long limited his Hollywood career, highlighting how the new medium reinforced cultural and racial prejudices. Thanks for watching! Which silent film star's story surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more Hollywood history. See you next time.